Good evening. Welcome to the Raymond Select Board meeting for December 8th, 2015. First order of business is minutes from the previous meeting dated November 10th.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Any suggestions, corrections, notices? All those in favor? Opposed? You abstaining?
Yes, sir.
4 with 1 abstention. Under old business, we're going to continue a discussion from last month with Revision Energy on a possible solar panel for the top of the fire building here in this section of town. At our last meeting, we asked Revision to go back and look at their numbers. We thought that the increased rates were a little high, and as Member Bruno noted, within a week or so of our meeting last time, the rates for next year were announced and they actually went down. So we do have a new proposal, and I'll turn it over to Revision Energy and we'll go from there.
Great, yeah. Thanks for having me back.
Introduce yourself again, and gotta get that.
Thanks. Yeah, Jeff Sparrow with Revision Energy. Been working on this proposal with the town over the course of about 6 months now. And just as a quick recap, we're proposing to install a solar system on the fire station right down the road here that is owned and operated by Revision Energy and through a power purchase agreement where the town agrees to buy electricity produced by the solar array. And after 6 years, the town will have the option to buy the system for roughly 50 cents on the dollar. I think it's right around $50,000 is that cost drawn out in the proposal. The purpose of doing the PPA is so that the town can capture some of the benefits due to the tax credit and depreciation on the system, which Revision Energy, being a tax-paying business, we can take those tax credits and with the goal of passing the savings through the town. So after our meeting a month ago, I had a few questions to do some homework on and bring back answers to the board here. The big change in the proposal is that, we did go back and look at 10 years of electricity rate fluctuations, and over, this actually goes back to 1990, and since 1990, it's slightly above a 2% increase adjusted for inflation. And with that, we basically have the latitude to be able to change the way the rates increase from year to year with the system. So we took it from a 4 or 5% annual increase to a 2% annual increase. And the end result of that is, the town is going to be paying a lower rate on that electricity cost. And the buyout cost is actually able to stay just about the same as it was originally. So we were able to work a little bit better deal for the town out of the project. It was brought up as, we had requested, or Joe, you had requested to see if we could make the rate from the PPA fluctuate with the utility rate. We've done this in some cases, but it really turned into an administrative burden on our end to track the rate for each account, for each PPA that we hold. So just basically not doing it that way going forward. So it's a fixed rate at a smaller escalator, which is hopefully more attractive to the town. And I think those were all the items that came up, other than you would ask for some history on other PPA projects. You would specifically ask for the rates that those projects were set at. At the end of the day, I didn't feel that was a good way to reflect on this project because every PPA project is unique. Some of the original ones had the floating rates. Some PPA projects, the hosts want to pay a higher rate than the utility, because what that does is it reduces the buyout cost of the system in year 7. Whereas when you pay a lower rate on the electricity that the system produces, a lower rate is going to increase the buyout costs in the 7th year. So what I did in lieu of that was to provide a report on the Thomas College system, which was one of the first PPA projects that we did, which basically is our analysis of how the system has performed energy production wise versus expectations, and also reports that reliability of the system has been perfect.
Thank you, Jeff. Questions for Jeff? One of the things to consider here, if we do decide to go forward with something like this, and Nancy, I'm going to put you on the spot. If I understand this correctly, we're going to replace energy that we would buy through whoever we're currently buying it. We're going to buy it from you, something that we produce, correct? You did a quick look at this after the meeting, Nancy, and we use more power than this is going to generate, as I recall. And so, in terms of our budget, would this mess with our budget at all?
From what I understand, we'll be getting what's produced as a credit against what we pay CMP, is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
When the system puts power onto the electric grid, which is basically in excess of what the building is using, that is a credit for a kilowatt hour. It's not actually a payment from the utility. That credit can then be leveraged against consumption for that building when it consumes power, or up to 8 other CMP accounts within the town's territory.
So if this generated 50% of what we use in a year, we would, for the electricity cost, not the delivery, we would see a reduction in that, or also the delivery?
Also the delivery. So it's the supply plus the delivery, which is generally separated into 2 parts of a bill. We've identified the best accounts to apply these credits to in the town, which are basically small general service accounts which have the highest per kilowatt hour utility rates.
So if we did go forward with this, then you would help us to develop budgetary estimates based on, the past performance of said systems that would be relatively very accurate, I guess, and would help us to reduce the appropriations in the various accounts for electricity.
Yeah, that would be fairly easy.
So you would do that?
Yeah, we'd be happy to help you with that.
Mike, I believe the quote would cover 5 buildings that we have in Raymond right now. Couldn't tell you which ones, but I think that's what we had looked at. That would basically, and I believe this building was one of them, the electrical use here.
In the fall, we passed a new policy for promotional materials. The district found that we're doing free advertising really for a lot of the community events, which is great, but it just was getting a little out of hand. So we have passed a policy in the fall that we will only distribute school-related information. That is taking effect January 1st, so I just wanted to give that little announcement so anybody that was using our listserv knows that that is going to be wrapping up soon. And I was very thrilled to see that the town has an email list that they're putting together. I've signed up for it, so there's another plug for that, for people to do that as well. So I think those things really should be coming from the town anyway. It's more of a community feel when there are community events. And they're all great events, it's just that we were sending out way too many emails was the feedback we were getting, so we had to change that policy. And another policy that changed in the fall was the community service. Maybe when you had some kids, I don't know when that came about, that we had the 40 hours of community service.
At the high school.
At the high school. we've changed the policy. Chris Howell, the principal, came before us a couple of years ago asking that we take a look at that. It hadn't been working well the last few years. They end up having students scrambling in the spring since it is a graduation requirement. And I'm sure that, you know, the intent that was that should be a meaningful opportunity for the kids. But I guess in the reality, it was not working out that way. So he asked us to take a look at changing it, and he spearheaded looking to see what other towns do. So his idea was a capstone project that the kids would work on pretty much in their senior year. And we did change the policy, so it is beginning with this freshman class will be the change. So the current, you know, sophomores, juniors, and seniors are under the old system of the 40 hours of community service, but this freshman class will be under the new system of a capstone project. So it'll be much more, it'll be something they select, so we're hoping that they would be a little more into that than the community service than the year-end scramble. So we'll see how that goes as we're rolling that out. The other thing you've probably seen in the paper, the Eagle, is we have been looking at a pre-K initiative. Jerry and I are on a study committee along with a couple other board members. It's all very preliminary at this point. Kind of came out of our facilities group, just looking at all of our buildings and how could we better utilize our space. And as we know here in Raymond, our buildings do have space. So I'm not sure whose initial idea it was, but we decided we could explore that here. It would be open to the whole district, obviously, but it would be housed at RES. And we would, if we do this, it would start very small. We have a contact at the State Department of Education who came and spoke to us of what other towns do, and she even recommended starting with one class, which at the most is 16 kiddos. So we're looking into that, trying to put some numbers to that, and just see, you know, what the interest would be. I don't know if you had anything to add to that. That's good. So that's where that is at. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jerry and Jen. They're on the facilities committee, and we have things going on in Wyndham with the middle school and so forth.
Jen, I'm gonna let you, because you've been on the committee longer than I have.
So we've just started talking about doing a non-binding referendum in November to get the community interest, or really what their preference is in terms of build versus renovate. I think everybody knows the middle schools in particular need repair. Wyndham Middle School and Jordan Small, but Wyndham has greater needs, I think, than Jordan Small. So we'd send a note out to really get their feeling. We've also authorized funding for PDT architects to get some dollars attached to that. So we would, when we put it out for the referendum, again, non-binding, it's just really to get information, we would have a good feel for what the cost would be for each of the two choices, either adding on, renovating. We also plan to do a board workshop, I think, in the next month or so that the board understands. We've been really talking at the facilities committee level to date, and so we really want to make sure to bring the board along and see what questions they may have, and make sure that we understand the educational considerations for how we might divide classes. So if we did 5 to 8 versus 6 to 8, what are the benefits to doing that?
Are we looking at next November? Is that?
This is right, November 16th, to do the non-binding referendum.
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that is.
Wyndham was talking about the Public Works facility. I don't know if you were aware. That's been in the Eagle too, which would have affected us, but that didn't pass. So
Would have helped the school with the new garage set up.
yeah, it would.
Yeah.
It would have. But
Questions? Joe?
One of the issues we have here in Raymond, and I am so happy you're here, by the way.
I am thinking this is a big thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
for coming.
Okay.
I don't know who initiated it, but
Huge.
thanks. I really mean that, and it's wonderful that you're here. Is a tuition deal with Raymond. You know, we it has always been the policy of Raymond, going back to, years ago when I was on the school board, we only pay the tuition rate up to what we would pay to Wyndham. That has changed somehow. And now there's legal opinions out there saying, well, you can try it on your own, but you really need legislation passed. So Mike tried to put legislation in, Representative McClellan, in this session to say, allow schools that do tuition out kids to put a cap on it, on what they're willing to pay. Because we have people that are going all over the country now, and we're paying a lot of money, as opposed to what we would pay if they went to RSU 14. So hopefully your school committee is gonna be supportive. I mean, we're gonna have to wait until next January now, not this January, to pursue this with a piece of legislation. But it's a huge, it's a $50,000 impact
It
on
is.
the town of Raymond. So hopefully your school committee has talked about it. I mean, from my standpoint, I say we just do it, but there's a lot of people afraid to do it, so.
I'm not sure that it's, the RSU can go ahead and do that. I mean, we just get the bill,
Right.
and we just pay the bill, and then we.
Well, I'm saying
And the
the
RSU
town-
passes on what should be the town's part
Right.
to the town to pay. So
Right.
I don't know, like who's on first tier.
Right.
It's been an issue, and we write,
Yeah,
well, you write the check every
Yeah.
year to the RSU for what we've built.
Yeah.
And so but I don't know how that changes. Way back when it happened, it was supposedly a piece of legislation that was going to be very easily passed so that either you could pass it on to the parents or
Right.
cap it or whatever. So, but that never occurred.
right. So we have received legal opinion that, you can do a referendum in the town, and that gives you a little more standing.
And what would the referendum be? To not stop choice, but to say we'll
We're
charge
gonna
parents?
cap tuition at whatever the rate is we pay Wyndham for high school kids. That's the cap that we pay to any school you go to.
And that was the goal,
Right.
before, when we all voted to keep choice.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't
But that
think
means,
there's
but how
anything.
did, but the schools are still gonna, so
Yeah.
that the private schools have to be willing to take that and say
Right.
that's all they're gonna get.
Or they
Right.
give it to the parents.
Right.
Okay.
Just like they do now. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I don't know.
We pay the state rate, but the parents are still paying a difference.
Right, and I don't know where that, I don't think it's called value added, but I don't know what that piece is called. Does anyone remember what that's
Yeah,
called?
it's
I
something like that.
Value
Right.
added something, and that's the piece
Oh,
that.
intrinsic value factor.
Right, and I don't know why it is that that gets charged to.
How much was that for?
Off
It's
the
in the
top.
thousands.
Yes,
Like
it was,
30s.
yeah, it was quite big.
Cool.
And then as a matter of fact, I got a phone call from the family of Jane Parker, who I was trying to find. And they were so glad that I had put it in the paper, because they came up and paid her taxes, or she really came up and paid them, but they informed her we were gonna auction it off, so.
How much was that, so?
That one was just land, so it was only a 2,000, so.
But it was years worth,
Well,
3.
3 years,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So that's the good news. We
That's the
have-
good
we-
news.
Of the five properties that we put out to bid, 2 of them, the taxes have been paid in full.
correct.
The sad news is nobody wants the other 3.
Well, I did have the next day people interested. And I said, the bids were due yesterday. So,
So you are now proposing that we wait until March of next year?
yes,
We will
when
get the
I
next
have
batch.
a next batch, and maybe they will go. These 2 that people they were looking into, the Harmon one and the one on Haskell Ave, so.
So, I guess the question for the board, if we have tried to put them out for bid, and somebody has interest now, do we want to look at a policy? Do we want to look at a policy of, or do we want to keep doing bids? I mean,
That gets tricky. Yeah, I would.
It gets tricky, but on the other hand, too, is can we put it out to bid again now, or do we have to wait so long for more bids?
Well, I mean, you
Instead of
had the
waiting
option to
March.
go out and
What
bid
does it
every
cost
month.
each time
But
we
you-
have to, we put it out to bid?
But if you have someone come in after the bid process you start to run into some conflict of interest like there, and you can get into a really dicey situation.
Even if you put it far enough, I would say, yeah, we'll do it again
Well, I
in
mean,
30 days.
I'm not talking the bid process. You said
Oh.
after the bids were supposed to be in,
Right.
someone came in.
Right.
Yeah, then you run into a legal issue right there.
Yeah, I would say we should stay there on
Right.
that, but let's put it out to bid ASAP. We get 2 out of them 5, possibly.
I don't see any harm in waiting until March.
I don't either.
Just for
This is like-
clarification, there's only 3 now left, because
Right.
the other 2 got, yeah,
That's
so there's
correct.
3 out of 5.
And frankly,
That one was
They
paid.
want.
frankly,
they
if we
want
don't do this
maximum
again
harm.
until spring, then it's spring,
Right.
as opposed to winter.
Right.
And what we could do is if you know there are some folks interested,
I did tell them that it would probably go back up in spring.
What were their
And
thoughts? Was it something that they had?
I
Could be
think,
like 3 or 4 projects from now, those 2 lots, or they needed it, they wanted to do something with it now, and there wouldn't be that opportunity for them in the
they were
future?
still kind of doing their research on the land. Because one of them I sent out to Chris so that they could find out whether it was buildable or whatever.
Right.
So they were still kind of researching. One of them had already gone to the Registry of Deeds and found everything he was looking for there. But he still came in with questions, so they basically sounded like they started their process too late.
No sense of urgency per se.
I don't believe so, no.
Fine
So we
with
can wait.
spring.
Yeah.
yeah, the only reason I brought it up is, banks will then after they've had unsuccessful bids, they will negotiate, but we're not a bank, so I am totally comfortable waiting for the next round. And
Yeah, and I
see
think
what
in the
happens.
next round, whatever we have, I don't know what we'll have, but in spring, it's much better for them to buy, and then if they want to build, it's time to build, where this time of year, they don't know if they're going to get snow next week, so,
All right, great, thank you, Sue.
thank you.
John?
I just wanted to mention the possibility of doing this a different way. You don't have to do this, it's my understanding, by bid. As with any other asset of the town, I think you could dispose of them through an alternate method. You could hire a realtor, you could go through some competitive process and vet area realtors, select a realtor, and have a realtor market the property and sell it for you.
Yeah.
That would work if it's an expensive property, but
Yeah,
you're looking at something pretty.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there are other ways to do it.
Yeah.
You could also, as a town, say, here's what we want, and put it out at a price certain, as we've done with capital equipment. It's up to you. There's other ways you could dispose of it.
I say we wait.
Revisit it in spring, maybe we
Yeah.
go that route, but at least go from there. I think we're better off to wait, we'll get more bang for it.
And, we were successful in taking care of a couple of them, so-
Yeah,
which is good.
yeah.
All right. Next item, RSU 14. Diana, you brought friends. If you guys want to sit here, I'm sure Kathy will move down one, then you guys don't have to do the whole huddle around the microphone thing. You can,
Kathy's like, all my papers are like that.
Kathy's flexible.
No.
So this agenda item, Diana sent me a note and offered to come give us an update of what's going on at the RSU. And so I will turn it over to Diana, and if you would all introduce yourselves.
I'm Diana Freusland. I am the vice chair of the school board.
I'm Jen Moore.
I'm Jerry Keen Dryer.
Thank you for having us. I think that you probably have more people tune in than we do. So we just wanted to come and just tell you a few things that have been going on the last couple of months. One thing that is an update, it's not new, I'm sure most of you are aware of the RES playground improvements that we are hoping to make with the IRT, which the town has worked with as well. We've not been selected as of yet. We did put in an initial bid, but we were declined on our first round, but I think it was just because we didn't really have a lot of our information in order. So we have resubmitted, and to date, we have done DEP permitting, so that is in process. We've gotten that ball rolling, which is a good thing. We also, the voters, approved putting aside $150,000 in a capital reserved fund so that we can also show the military that we are very serious about the project. So we're hoping that we will look much better this go around. We still will need to fund that a little bit further. Our estimate was probably about $300,000 to $350,000 for materials and supplies. So we're getting there. Bill Hansen, our facilities director, has a contact in the military that he informs periodically when we've reached, you know, a new milestone to make us hopefully look better. So we're hoping that if we are selected, that this project would probably be like in the summer of 2017. And then locally, we have a lovely lady, Alyssa Messer, who is doing fundraising within the town. She's had a pickleball tournament, which, to be honest, I don't even know what that is, but I know they raised several $1,000s.
For old people.
I was gonna say, I don't even know what that is, but they did very well.
Smaller tennis.
It's old tennis.
Oh, it's a tennis thing?
It's old
Okay.
people tennis.
All right, well, look into that maybe a little later on. They had a pie fundraiser at Thanksgiving, and I know that she was awarded a grant, I think it was from Berlin City. So she's very clever and is finding, you know, different grant monies and so forth. And also that shows the military too that we have local fundraising going on as well. So here's hoping we get that. So that's the update for the playground.
They also did a wreath. They had beautiful wreaths that they were selling. Actually, I bought two. They made over $1,000. So that was actually a very nice, a good, lucrative fundraiser.
Yeah.
They're beautiful wreaths.
So that would be huge because the RES, if I'm sure you all had kids there at one point or another, that really needs, you know, an improved playground. So I hope we get that. I am on the policy committee, so a couple of policy things that are going on.
So, taking that out to the next step, until we had to pay for the system, there should be a neutral, there's no increase to the budget until we would have to do a buyout. Don?
Yeah.
No, I think theoretically correct, but I think if you were going to plan on, to me, you'd probably want to add some money to the capital program over the, you know, the initial years in order to have the money available, so you wouldn't have to, I mean, that's one approach. I suppose the other approach would be to, you know, to raise it all in one lump sum, or to, you know, to borrow the money, or however you want to do it, but it might be prudent to put some money aside each year towards the capital buyout.
Part of why I asked the question is, from a construction standpoint, you want to get going as soon as possible. This would be online before the end of our budget year. I want to make sure it doesn't cost us anything in this budget year that we haven't planned for, or if it does, we would have to plan for it.
It would be July
Yeah.
1st.
So, yeah, so it's not gonna cost the town anything. Through the first 6 years of the system being in place, the town is gonna save $4,700. The year 7, when the town buys the system out, that's a $43,000 or $44,000 expense. That expense is recouped through energy savings in the following 6 years. And then after that, all the energy produced by the system is essentially free.
Don?
Except for what you've indicated is de minimis, but an annual maintenance, at least, on the system that has to be done, and any repairs.
Yep, so the first 6 years, we do that, and just as a matter of routine, we do annual inspections on all the PPA systems that we own. It's probably overkill, a system like this for the town. You know, it's gonna have monitoring in place. These systems inherently have very little to no maintenance involved. You know, so the town can set a schedule, you know, I would say every 5 years would be reasonable, with somebody keeping an eye on the monitoring, to make sure that something hasn't gone offline. But in the long-term cash flow pro forma that we've done for this, we do include that line item as an expense for the town. when looking at those payback and savings figures.
John?
And overall, a 40-year life, roughly.
Yep, so the panels have a 40-year life. It's conceivable to plan on replacing the inverters in the system at roughly year 20. And the panels themselves, there's really nothing to go wrong with them. There's no moving parts. So we think a 40-year estimate out of the panels themselves is accurate. So your panels, racking, wire, conduit, all that stuff has that lifetime. And again, looking at probably a routine replacement of the inverters after 20 years.
Cost of an inverter now?
Maybe $3,000 to $5,000, depending.
For the whole system?
This has a few inverters in it, so let's say for this system, probably in the $10,000 range.
At today's pricing, but of course, you don't know what the pricing is going to be. Presumably, solar is going to be I guess, I don't want to use the word mainstream, but I guess I don't have a better word, but more prolific in the future. And because the other question will be, and you don't know the answer to this one, because there has been a quantum leap forward, it seems, just in the last decade or so in the efficiency and function of such systems. But the question becomes, what's in 40 years? It may not make any sense to run this at all because the technology may have advanced so far beyond this.
Yeah, that would be really exciting if,
I mean, I don't know. I'm
30 years
asking,
time.
I'm asking that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable expectation that, 30 or 40 years down the road, we'll want to get this old technology off the roof and get some new stuff up there.
Yes, Joe?
Jeff, I don't know how to say this politely. I think your assumptions are kind of wacky, all right? To assume that in 10 years, we're gonna be paying 17 cents per kilowatt hour on a utility cost, I think is kind of far-fetched. Technology's changing, things are becoming more efficient, we're getting better at producing energy, yet you're saying we're gonna be jumping up by 50% in cost. Now, this is not a good investment. If you're looking at this from a financial standpoint, because if your assumptions are wrong, this all goes to hell quickly. If you want to do it for an altruistic thing, because you feel good about getting off the grid, that's totally different than from a financial standpoint at looking at this and going, in 30 years, we're going to be paying 40 cents per kilowatt hour. So, to me, I'm here to represent taxpayers. This is not a good investment. If the board feels like altruistically they want to put up solar panels and feel good about it, that's a totally different argument.
Now, Mr. Bruno, are you referring to the rate structure on page 5 of the proposal or the one at the end of the proposal?
This table you sent us.
Page 11, I think.
11, yep.
11 on our proposal.
Yeah.
It's either 11 or 14. We have two tables. One is compared to 2%, one is under your 7-year purchase option. You have two tables.
Yep, so at your, the original proposal had a 4.5% rate escalator. At your request, we reran the numbers at the 2% escalator.
Price of oil's down to $37 today. And now they're foreseeing that at least for the next year. That throws all your numbers off right there.
I don't think there's any doubt that there's volatility
Right.
from a year-to-year basis.
Right, so to sit there and
think
say
that-
you're gonna automatically just increase everything by 2% a year is not a reasonable estimate.
I don't think that's out of the question, given that this is a 30-year investment for the town. If you wanted to try and identify what the increase or decrease is from year to year, that would probably be an impossible task.
Right.
I think what you try and do reasonably is what is the average increase in energy going to be over the long term?
It's never been a straight line.
It's not.
Right. Right.
So at the 2% escalator, which is chart 2 on page 14 of our packet, the numbers change from a $200,000 after 30 years to $100,000 after 30 years. So the kilowatts would go from 11.7 under a 2% to 20, to 20.7, so.
Yeah, you know, even if the rates stayed flat, the town saves money.
At the 11 cents.
That's right.
Debatable.
It all is, you know. I think like we said last time, there's no crystal ball.
Right.
You know, I think the question is what do you think it's gonna do over the long term? And what's the value of isolating the town from volatility in energy prices? And I think there's some inherent value to that that's hard to put a dollar figure on.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Questions? Kathy, you have anything to add?
I'd like to see it go forward. I'm actually in the process of starting a new home, and we're gonna be doing solar, for a lot of different reasons. One is, the biggest reason is just when we retire, it will be paid for, and I won't have electrical bills. You know, the system is designed, hopefully, to produce all the energy that we need for that house, and I've talked to other people that have done the same thing, and that's what they're finding. So,
At this point, anybody from the audience want to ask questions, comment? Anything further from the board? We done with this? There's no motion on the floor, so without a motion, we're done. Jeff, I want to thank you for your time, and we'll see what happens going forward.
Okay?
thank you.
Well, thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Jeff. Next item on our agenda is a draft budget schedule for fiscal year 16-17. Nancy, do you want to go to the microphone, stand up, or do you want to go to the microphone and sit down? You have a choice.
I'm just stand here.
Please introduce yourself.
Nancy Yates, Finance Director. I assume you got the draft budget this time, so you had a chance to look at it and make any revisions.
I checked my normal February vacation because February 22nd looked very suspicious to me, but given the way the calendar works next year, President's Day is the week before, so I'm guessing that's when school vacation will be. Anybody got any conflicts, suggestions?
I actually have a couple, but just don't worry about me.
Okay.
I look at it, it's gonna get readjusted anyways as we get closer for other things that come up, so. There's a lot over here.
Do I have a motion to approve the,
I will not be here on the 22nd of February. But, you know, like I said, I won't be here on the 12th either.
But that's only submitted. That's not actually a
The
meeting.
12th is the
No.
submittal, the 22nd is an actual meeting.
January 22nd? Oh, no, I was just looking at January. And we can play with that date later if that's all right. I need,
And I won't be here on March 22nd.
so we ought to note that those two dates for the Budget Finance Committee and see if we might have some proposed changes to try to get most of us here.
don't they normally meet Mondays, Budget Finance? So maybe we can move it to the 21st? Or are you out that whole week?
I'm talking about March?
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I'm gone.
you're gone? Okay.
The February one, Joe, is probably less important than the March one.
Yeah, I mean,
What
I
about
would
the week
guess.
before? Actually, or the week after. Ooh, you're,
I can, the 29th is okay. I'll be back.
Fine with
Of
it.
March.
do you want it, Mike, how's yours?
I'm going.
You're going?
I'm here all year this year. I can't go anywhere.
You might be snowed in.
I might be snowed in, but I can't leave town. I am in town till April, or in state anyway.
Is that school vacation week, the 22nd?
No, it's not. It's the week before. The
I'm
5th.
good with all the dates.
Yeah. So you said the 29th. So let's propose to the budget finance instead of the 22nd, the 29th of March.
March, okay.
Even February 29th is okay for me.
And February 29th also?
Well,
Wait a minute, you just, yeah.
oh, moving both of those. So the 22nd to the 29th. See if that works. Lonnie?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
It's hard to predict March, April,
Right.
but
So far, you're good?
yes, sir.
We should start with so far, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so why don't we ask for those two?
Okay.
See if we can arrange that.
All right, thank you.
Still need a motion?
Can I have a motion to amend and pass on to the budget committee, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Under new business, annual liquor license inspection for Cafe Sebago and A La Mexicana. Turn that over to you, Kathy.
All right, Kathy Goslin, Deputy Chief of the Fire Department. Cafe Sebago was inspected yesterday. Other than a few housekeeping issues, there was no life safety, so that inspection's. I talked to Bill Hines, the owner. He is not here tonight because he's cooking. But he was advised of what needs to be done, and they've always worked well with us, so I don't see that as an issue.
Do we
Make a
do,
motion to approve the liquor license for Cafe Sebago.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? A La Mexicana?
A La Mexicana has been visited a lot this year, but not for a formal inspection yet. That's due next week, I believe we're going. We have had an issue with their smoke detectors going off, but we've been working with the owners and the alarm company, and that appears to be taken care of. I did the inspection there last year. Other than a little bit of housekeeping, there was no issues, and we don't perceive to find any issues this year.
So at this point, we're looking for a 1-month temporary extension with a formal in January, when we hear back.
Can we just give them a contingent license?
Contingent
Like-
on,
Give them a license and then make it contingent on passing inspection.
Yeah.
And they have, what, 30 days to pass?
That'd be
If
fine.
it doesn't,
Yeah.
you'll come back unless, yeah.
We're there next week, so.
So that way we
I'm
know.
okay with that either way, I
Yeah.
I'll
just,
make that motion.
Second.
so the motion on the table is to give a contingent license based on a successful, inspection from the fire department. If the inspection is not successful, then it would,
They would come back.
they would have to come back.
They lose their license until they pass.
Or just give
Remedy the
them
situation.
30 days, which
Yeah.
gives them a week out to get it inspected and then
Right.
fixed in the next couple of weeks, so by the time we have our next meeting.
Okay,
We have not seen any life safety issues there. It's just basically housekeeping.
What is
When
a
we
life
s-
safety issue? What is it?
Life safety is something that's going to hurt people
Okay.
or has the
It's a lock
potential.
takes it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Housekeeping is more, the laundry's too close to the boiler or
Okay.
something like that. Maybe a battery needs to be replaced in an exit light, something like that's housekeeping. Life safety is, you're using extension cords wrong, or your
Okay.
stove, your hood stuck, a hood is not inspected, things like that.
How many years have you guys been down there?
Right now, going forward.
And there's never been an issue before?
Minor things, there's nothing major.
Yeah.
further questions, comments? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
you, guys.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Sue Carr, you are here. Hi, Sue.
I am here.
I thought I saw you sneak in.
So did you bring my mail?
No, I didn't.
So Sue, we have good news and
Iffy news, yes.
So introduce yourself and go for it.
I'm Sue Carr, the tax collector.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm enthused with my job.
Yes.
What else do you want to know?
So if
Whatever.
you would give us an overview of your report that you gave us.
Well, we put out an ad in all 3 papers. Unfortunately, we got no bids, but we did get Anthony Beatty to pay all taxes, even this year's and the April one, so he will be getting a quick claim.
Right.
The town, the town,
It's a 10% increase
Right.
at 15
Right,
over
over.
the tuition rate.
and and that's the piece that I would question, why
Right.
is it that, the schools have to pay for that?
Yeah, there was a
That-
reasoning that they don't get state money, so therefore they're gonna add on to the tuition bill, so it makes up for the subsidies that other public schools get. That was the reasoning behind it, but it was never the intention of the town of Raymond to pay more money than what we pay Wyndham.
Right.
So,
So currently, because I'm new to that whole
Mhm.
arrangement, the town of Raymond is subsidizing.
Your taxes are subsidizing.
Yeah, well,
Private schools, and they
And-
have
and
been
this-
ever since.
well,
The RSU started.
the choice
Right.
issue is one thing, but what we're paying some of these private schools is higher than what we're paying to
That's
Wyndham.
No, that's what I'm saying, but then as a
Right.
taxpayer, I'm
Right.
subsidizing
Yes.
somebody
Yeah.
to.
yes.
Yeah.
And what happened is when we did the choice thing, Westbrook would be a little bit different than what Wyndham would be, but when we consolidated, Westbrook dropped their tuition rate to keep
Right.
kids there, to keep it the same rate, so it wasn't higher, because the parents knew that they would be paying a little bit more, but to get Westbrook to get the kids, they dropped it. But what's happening is that's gotten lost, that's gotten really lost in the system, so somebody can go with a very expensive school that we are paying for.
And in the 90s,
Yeah.
Wyndham
Well,
actually
no,
gave us
I think we're not paying full tuition to a private
no,
school.
no.
No, but
Okay,
you
no,
have
but I just want to
overage.
be clear that we're not paying
No, but you
private
pay-
tuition over the full tuition.
You are
Whereas we
paying
would-
more than what you pay
Yes,
to
But we
Wyndham.
will pay the Wyndham, right. If someone
I
goes
mean,
to
the Wyndham
Yarmouth
rates at, like,
High School, the
10,000,
parent
which
pays
they
the
do,
difference to
yeah.
go to Yarmouth
Yes.
High School. We would pay whatever,
Right.
they pay the difference.
Right.
Okay, so, but I just want to be sure that people are not hearing that we pay the full, for a private school, we don't.
In the
We get up to a
mid-90s,
certain
Wyndham
amount.
actually gave us a 10% discount to send our kids there.
Right.
So,
So if we spend, say it's $10,000 to go to Wyndham High School.
Right.
That's the top we'll pay to any
That's what-
public
that's
school.
right. That's
Yes.
what,
And
or
any
private school.
Or private
But
school.
then
Right,
they
that should
charge,
be
and I don't,
Yeah.
we don't, as an RSU, we're not a part of how that happened or
No.
why we get charged
Hmm.
that incentive, with that extra piece. I have no idea. That's something that the private schools worked out through the legislation.
Right,
That's nothing to do with RSU.
Right.
So that's a legislative piece.
right. And that's why we're asking Mike to put in a piece of legislation to fix this, so that
Right.
we have the option to negotiate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
But I don't think the RSU would not negotiate. I think it does have to be the town that negotiates. I don't know that we
Yeah.
would negotiate.
Well, ultimately, it goes through the RSU, because you send us a bill, and we pay it.
Right,
So,
right. Well, we pay the
whatever we
tuition.
negotiate
Right.
still comes through the RSU.
Because they pay
And
the
like,
tuition.
last time I looked, it was about, I don't know,
4,000.
50 or 60,000.
Different years, it's been different, it's gone
That's
down. It's gone
Yeah.
down, at one point it was between 40 to 50, it's gone
Right.
down in the 6 or 7 or 8 years we've been doing this, so it's not been as much. We have fewer students who are
But
going to the
it's
private
still
schools.
enough to have an impact.
Joe, you're preaching to this
Yeah.
choir.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, I fully understand, and I don't think a lot of taxpayers do understand.
And I'm fine with choice.
No, they didn't.
It's just what I want to pay.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
I understand, I understand.
It's the
So-
differential,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the differential.
the legislative differential. Don?
On a totally different topic, you're probably aware of this, and I think some of the selectmen are, there will be a change since the beginning of time between the town and the school. Since the beginning of recorded time, we've done the winter plowing and maintenance for the school. The school decided to privatize that and seek bids. So, for a lot of reasons, we decided not to be competitive bidders with the private sector. We're kind of doing it as a loss leader because we did it for decades for nothing. And so that's ended now. And, I'm sure there are reasons to do it, but, for me, and this is a personal thing, but there was a program years ago, and I think it still exists, called One Town in Cape Elizabeth, where they came up with this notion to share resources, town and school. And so when we were Raymond, we could do that, but now that we're the RSU, that doesn't happen so much. And so I worked to get a program here called One Raymond, and it worked for, a decade or more, and so that's pretty much gone now. But I recognize and appreciate the authority of the school to do their own thing, but I think some thought should be given to the notion of working together. It makes sense from a tax standpoint, from a, just from a practical standpoint. But that said, because we wish you well and hope that the private contractor situation works out for you, but that will be a change this year. The town will not be doing the plowing at the school. We did agree to continue to do the Mill Street parking area as a goodwill gesture one more year, because we don't maintain that unless it was a school bus turnaround, I'm told. So, and then the school's going to continue to clean the town office as also a goodwill gesture until the spring. And so then I think the final thing was the sand pickup. We will give you a price to do that this coming spring. But I guess the punchline of the whole thing, though, is that in the future, if we could have some advance notice, because it happened mid-budget cycle, which leaves us with a $7,000+ hole in our budget, unanticipated, because it was something that was not planned and not noticed to us. So that's a change.
We'll get back to Don about that.
No,
It's just informational.
It's just informational. It's already it's done.
Okay.
And so, but it's.
But you probably didn't know about it, because it wouldn't happen.
We don't really get involved
Yeah.
in the
Right.
bidding
Right.
for such things.
It's kind of odd that you're gonna pay more to have your parking lots plowed. Just seems a little strange.
Again, we can't.
Right, you can't.
Jerry's just sitting there just.
I figured you're aware of it, because it's a big, to me, it's a structural thing. It's a change in the way you look at things, and I do understand it, because it's to keep us compliant with Wyndham. But maybe another way to look at it would be to say, what is it that Wyndham could do and Raymond could do, all of us together could do, instead of saying, maybe we need to privatize it to make us like Wyndham. And I don't know if that's the whole argument. I don't think it is.
I don't know.
I
I
think
have
there's
to go
more
back
to
and
it.
find out, 'cause I don't know all
Yeah.
the details. of
Have
that.
to chat with Bill.
'Cause
Yep.
there is no reason you would know. I'm just, so, part of the sharing of being able to sit together.
Right, right.
And thank you.
Okay,
Other-
great.
Other questions,
No,
comments?
just a huge thank you for this. This
Okay.
is,
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Open communication.
Hopefully we'll come back
There's a
again.
lot,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
lot on the plate.
You are welcome back.
Okay.
All right, don't
Well,
be
you're
afraid to
welcome
come
to our
back.
meetings
I
as
think you
well.
have a bigger
Yeah.
audience, so I mean, people need to know what's happening,
Yeah.
I'm
We'll
glad
get
that
people
the
here if
Eagle
you come.
does a good job, I think, with getting all the news out there, and I hope people read it, but,
Yeah, we try.
just like you, we don't even know if anybody watches, I don't know.
Oh, people watch. They do.
I
okay,
watched the other
good.
night for a few minutes.
Did you?
Did you?
Okay.
Fabulous.
I do, but I would like the opportunity to say that I don't know how long I've been doing this, a while, but I won't be running again in the spring, so I'm putting it out to TV Land or anyone else to please think about. It's a really important job. It's very time consuming at times, but it's very rewarding. It's a great opportunity. You learn a lot. I've done this a long time, and it's time to move on and do something else. So I wanted to have people start thinking now about taking papers out, 'cause that's like in March, isn't it?
Yeah.
March, April,
Right.
which is really around
So
the
the
corner.
election's in June.
The
Yeah.
election's in June. Yes. Yeah. So
So
please.
you're gonna go play pickleball? Is that what you're?
No, I'm not gonna play pickleball. I'm not sure, I'm just sort of open to what's next, but there's just a time to say it's time. There's negotiations in 17, and I don't really, I've been there, done that twice, and I don't want to do it again. So I just put it out there, and people think about it. It's a really very rewarding, great people. It's a wonderful board, really good folks. Sometimes a little controversial, but we have a really good, positive culture in our board, very much. And our RSU is a great RSU. Great staff, great people, great teachers, great administrators. So with that,
Well,
thank you very much.
Thanks for your
you.
service,
Oh,
Jerry.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Very good.
It's, that's a lot of years you put in.
It's a lot of years. I wore a hard hat at Raymond Elementary, so I was a school board member when they were building Raymond
Wow.
Elementary.
That's a
So
long
that's
time.
back, it's a long time.
That
There's
was
some time, years
98.
off, but
Yeah.
a
You
lot
were
of
with
fun.
Almost 20
Brenda,
years.
and yeah.
Yeah, so, I was there when they were just beams and stuff, so it's been a few years. Yeah, all right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
sorry.
Do I have to separate you two?
I know.
You should never have allowed her to sit here. She's talking my ear off.
Why do you think I moved?
Shut up, Sam.
Why do you think I was mad sitting down here?
Bye, guys, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda tonight is to discuss and try to set some budgetary goals for Dawn and staff. In your packet, you have the sheet that was used last year for the town manager and staff. I would love to give them less bullet points this year if we can, and maybe bullet points that don't conflict each other if possible. So if I don't know if folks have gone through and had some initial thoughts on stuff we could take out of here before we get to stuff we could add back in, but I guess I'd love to take some out first and then have a discussion on what to add back in. So any thoughts? Anybody?
Well, it's you go to the center of the page and you start with consider department budgeting needs and anticipated needs going forward, and then 2 down it says 0 minimal municipal budget increase. I mean, we all want a 0 initial budgeting, 0 or minimal. We all want that. I think that should come right out off the bat, even though that's our ideal goal per se, but it's something that we want them to put forth a budget that is most efficient, going to take care of the town the best, and practical. So I mean, that's my first and foremost, but.
So you would say take out the
Take
zero
out the 0
line,
minimal municipal budget increase.
but you would want to beef up, consider department budgetary needs. You want to add, you would,
I'd leave that and just
you would leave that one.
leave it the
Correct.
same, with the same meaning.
I mean, there were definitely years when we asked for 0 or
Yep.
minimal.
Yep.
As we all know, that was not a possibility, and I know last year we discussed the fact that if they brought a budget to us, we would decide if we were gonna be 0 or minimal, but that is one of those contradictory bullet points back and forth
The
there.
goal should be 0, however.
And then 3/4 of the way down, consider a
Leave out
referendum.
the wiggle room.
Sorry. Consider referendum for a new recreational facility.
Hold on a second, wait, we're not done the last one. So Sam is
sorry.
is not in sync with taking out the 0 or minimal budget increase.
Okay.
Isn't it the goal to always have a minimal budgeting,
Yeah.
Right.
tax increase? I mean, that's always been the goal. You wanna be cost efficient for the town and the taxpayers to do as much as possible at a reasonable rate.
I think it's just a common sense one, so we
Yeah.
just take that out knowing that that's our goal, that's our overall goal anyways.
Because
My-
if you put your
My point-
budgeting needs.
My point was that we should have the goal
Wait, this
as
next one.
0.
Yeah, you
Right.
can incorporate them.
And
A
if-
0
Yeah.
tax increase.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you look under the bullet point of 0 minimal tax increase, the next one says stay within property tax increase for new spending. So right there, those 2 bullet
They
points
just go all over the
are
place
the
with that
same.
one.
Leave out the if possible. Take if possible out. Leave
So,
out the wiggle room.
so the bullet point that says stay within property tax increase for new spending is a best guess based on what Kurt LaBelle would tell staff. He anticipates that our tax revenue is gonna go up. You would then couple that with a best estimate of non-tax revenues that might come in on an estimate from Nancy. Or a discussion between Nancy and Don and what they see the economy doing for car registrations and the like. I know that we have played with that number in the past.
I mean, where are we currently, Nancy, with revenues? Are we projecting?
We're
Way ahead of where
we're
we-
ahead of projections.
Right.
yes.
Right. And so undesignated fund balance is around 2.3 now?
Bill, do you need her to have a mic?
Yeah.
Nancy, Bill's got a mic for you.
So, you know, it's always been my contention that we can keep undesignated fund balance around 2 million. That is sufficient for what we need as a town, and use that other money for what we want, you know, whether it's spending on roads or lowering the, you know, keep property taxes at 0 increase.
In past years, we've used that idea for capital.
Right.
As opposed to operating expenses, we've used
Right.
it for one-time capital improvements.
Right.
When we have the money available. And that seems to be a good philosophy, because then you're not dependent on it for your day-to-day operating costs.
And it sounds like we're gonna have another surplus to deal with. So,
So,
I'm, you know, when I look at this thing, there's, you know, there's some stuff in here that I think we've already moved on. You know, such as the merit pay system. I think we're in the process right now with a whole new HR philosophy of things coming forward here. But-
so, based on what I've just heard, I'd like to take out 0 or minimal budget increase as a bullet item. Stay within the property tax increase for new spending, take out if possible. That then leaves us the discussion as we get into the budget season from a best estimate coming from Nancy and our recommended goals of how much we have in surplus on how we use that money. So I don't know how to put that into a bullet item. Maybe as when we start adding stuff later, we can figure out how to put that capital improvement with surplus, not surplus, but you know, with our undesignated fund balance goals in line. So that way staff can look at what that estimated number is and can use that as part of their budget deliberations. So Don, if I was saying the budget would be stay within the property tax increase for new spending, however, you also would have the estimate for capital improvement based on our recommendations for undesignated fund balance. So maybe you have to figure out a way to add that as a bullet point as part of your overall budget number. They're not contradictory, but they're two separate thought processes.
Use undesignated fund balance above a certain limit for major non-recurring capital improvement projects. We used to have that as a budget point, I think, at one time. So, I mean, so that's what you're saying, and so if you were to be able to calculate that, which we can, you know, based on the policy, then you would have a theoretical availability of monies for such projects, and that could help to blunt or eliminate any increase, or as Joe indicated, to basically to flatten the budget if that was what you wanted to do. So
I have gotten more comments and compliments about the road work that went on last summer from citizens than I can remember in a long time. I mean, people are very happy that they were able to see progress. They felt the progress because the potholes are gone. And I think that's important to continue on that kind of a path and make sure that we bring our roads up to where they should be.
And we're using the bond money for that, and I do
Right.
think that the projects that were completed this year, which are, Plains Road and Valley Road, as well as there was a recoding by the state of 85.
Yeah.
So when you put those three key roads
Yeah.
that a lot of people take, it was very visible.
Yeah.
Well, Main Street too.
Cape Road too.
And Cape Road was 2 years ago, right?
Right,
We
but we still
finished
get
it.
we still get a lot of
We still get a lot
compliments.
of comments, but So that's good.
Yeah.
And we are going to go into the next phase. There's another year of bond money and
Right.
improvements coming.
But remember, we also put more money into the Public Works Department to do this stuff that's outside the bonding.
Correct. Which
So-
is the prep work. Okay, so just before I cut somebody off, and I don't remember who it was, somebody was suggesting it was about the bullet point where we are looking at merit pay, so we can take that one out because that's in process, right?
Yeah.
Right, we are doing that, so we can take out the merit pay.
You can take out the municipal budget, should reflect minimal budget increases, it's pretty much said already in there. Yeah.
Third from the bottom, so you can take that one out, right? Because that's a duplicate, good.
The recreational facility.
Wait a minute, we can't take that one out.
Right.
We can't, Joe, we can't take that out yet. That was a nice try, though.
I'm glad he's poking at that in now.
It's possible we're gonna take it out really shortly,
Just
but,
for this year?
but there is a possibility, a very slim one, that we might be able to talk about that.
Didn't he do the 3 strikes, he was out already on that?
I did, but then,
Working on 4
but,
strikes.
but then I got a pass. It was like it was a pass ball and I get another pitch. We actually have a citizen who might donate land to us
Nice.
for a facility.
Great.
Is he paying taxes on this land now?
Yes,
We don't need to donate it to us.
it's farmland. Lonnie?
Evaluate new and expiring debt service budget impacts, keep that one.
Where is that one, Lonnie?
Right under, stay within property tax increase for new spending, if possible, we took that one out. So it's in the
Okay.
middle of the page.
Yep, evaluate new and expiring debt service budget impacts.
Good.
So to that,
You want to take that out?
Keep it in.
Keep it in.
You wanna
That's
keep
something
it
that
in?
should be generic every year.
Right.
Every
So,
year.
so Lonnie, to that, we should have some sort of a report for the board at the beginning of budget discussions. Like
Yeah.
maybe that should be a memo right at the beginning of the
Definitely.
budget presentation, so we understand where we are exactly in terms of
Yeah.
what bonds, when are retiring, just an update of that chart,
Yep, good plan. Yep.
okay?
I say we still leave in mechanic. I don't know how Nathan feels or public safety. I was gonna say the wrong one. Public safety feels about it too, but I think it'd be great to have somebody else on hand in here. So I know Nathan does a lot of our fixing, and if we had him freed up to do the stuff that
We
he's supposed
just
to do,
gotta
he says
figure
we
out
can't.
what's he more beneficial at, doing his job or being a mechanic?
Right,
And
not
if we
both,
feel
though,
he
is
should
what
do
I'm
his
saying.
job and not a mechanic, then we should continue getting a mechanic.
Right, and I honestly, I don't know how he feels about that, but I think that's something we need to explore, yeah.
Is, you know, if it's not possible to do a full-time, is there a share system with another community potentially? If another community has 1.5 and we added to make it a second, could we get somebody here a couple days a week and know that there was a scheduled time when stuff could be worked on?
We'll look into that. You mean something like a one Raymond type policy where you had like another town or a school department that had the similar needs?
Don, let
It
go.
could be.
Something like that, you
It
mean?
could be one community, one neighborhood, maybe one neighborhood, yeah.
What about even if he doesn't, he's not a mechanic, that he can do other work in town, also an employee, as far as.
Right, I
like,
mean-
Yeah,
Yeah,
but not,
but often mechanic skills are very specific.
yeah, there.
And the certifications and
Yeah.
things to make sure that you're instructed.
Kathy.
Kathy?
Wyndham and Raymond Fire Departments actually share a mechanic, and they have a vehicle, and he goes between
Good,
all the
yeah.
apparatus. We could all, we're with Wyndham, we could all check with that to see, but they would have to have the certifications
They're
to
very
work,
specialized certifications. Right.
specialized for the fire trucks.
And you would need, I would assume, certain licenses to work on specific dump trucks and
Okay,
things like
maybe
that.
we need just to hire one for Public Works then, since you guys already have one. But no, that's good, I didn't know that.
So,
They've shared their mechanic for years, and it's fire department.
Wow.
So
So-
Nathan never does any work on your trucks?
Nathan changes the tires quite often for us. Occasionally, he'll do an oil change, but the pumps and all of that, we send out for those that are certified to work on them.
Don?
Nathan, I would agree, doesn't do anything with the specialized fire equipment, but he will do virtually anything and everything that's needed on any piece of town equipment, anytime, anywhere, anyhow. Unfortunately for Nathan, that means after hours, at night, weekends, holidays, and so I think it's worth discussing with him again, this issue. I'm not saying go forward, but discussing it and seeing what the various options are, seeing what the opportunities are to work with other communities, and he has brought it up a number of years in a row, so I'd like to see it stay just as a discussion point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also with increased funding, which we've been putting in that direction, and workload during the busy summer months, that, you know, that's an important part of get it done when it can be done. So I would love to look at that again as well.
When is your health insurance renewal?
It's on the fiscal year, correct?
It's in the opposite,
July 1.
the opposite 6 months of us. It's January 1.
That's when it renews, but we still look for bids in May.
Have you,
Right, so we're
so have
looking,
you gotten your increase for this year? No, but it renews January 1?
The
The
bids.
policy resets the deductibles and stuff, so reset.
The donut hole, in other words.
right, but we're seeking
Our
quotations.
contract is July 1.
Right,
Oh, July 1.
Mhm.
Because there are huge increases out there in healthcare this year.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Huge.
Maybe this should go to the next one as far as the benefits of Maine Municipal Association.
But that's an increase in cost.
It sure is.
Well, see what the benefits.
Weren't there some savings if we were with MMA on our HR or something, nothing there?
But Stacy brought up a lot of points about that there was a lot of different benefits, because we are doing so much more about HR.
If I recall, she, you know, as she was talking about certain things that was needed or could be implemented, there were services that the MMA were either free at or cost effective. I think, what's the MMA charge each year?
well, the,
$4,700.
47? I was
They
thinking it
might
was
give
like
us a
15.
discount rate, we don't know what the prices are.
MMA gives a $2,000 grant to the fire departments every year, if you remember.
So take that 2,000 off the $4,700.
27.
Yeah.
Great.
Don?
the principal reason that communities, I mean, that's all well and good. I mean, you can get free legal sets, I say free, member-only legal consulting. You know, you can get various support, which I call, you know, hand-holding support if you're unsure of things, and it's helpful for people, you know, particularly people who are new in the business. You can get that, you know, reassurance. You can call and say, so what do you think about this? What do you think about that? They're not going to represent you in court. That's on you. You can't take their legal advice as, you know, anything but just friendly advice.
Yeah.
But
That's
the
funny.
reason towns are a member are, the real reason are their large programs, which are the property casualty, public officials program, and then the health program. So if you're not we've privatized those two things. If you're not going to be part of those two things, you know, that's what drives membership, I think. Not the legal consulting, not the de minimis kinds of things they offer. I mean, they're nice to have, and they're probably almost, when you look at the grants back, I mean, the safety grants, as you say, that part of it is a wash. But the real meat of MMA are the programs.
I just think we're going down a road right now with the HR part of it, which is huge for us. Because that's a big change, you know. And I think that's a benefit to have that, you know, we can have and check on, and maybe it might be, I don't know,
You're
beneficial.
talking the training benefit?
Well, that, and just for resources to call in case something happens, and I know Joe and Lonnie both have offered up different suggestions too. I mean, their people as far as, you know, offering advice and help and stuff like that, but
What,
I don't know.
Don?
When I called them about the whole merit issue, by the way, I did do that, and position classification, pay studies, and so forth, and innovative, you know, programming in that way. I was told that they, by their Director of Personnel Services, Dave Barrett, that they hadn't done any of that in 10 years.
Then what? Sorry.
What we're doing.
Oh.
They hadn't done that in 10 years. So I don't know what that tells you, but I'm just telling you that when I asked them if they wanted to submit something as a proposal, private sector, we have private sector consultants, I thought, why not invite MMA to submit? And they said, we haven't done that for anybody in 10 years.
But we found private sector who have.
The point, I guess, is we're moving in a direction that's maybe different than the mainstream
Right.
town.
Are there any other grants that you know of that they would offer, like to anything else that would? Because I'm not finding that we can make up that other 2,700, nor it worth being part of the MMA for 4,700, even though there's a $2,000
Right.
grant there, brings it down to 27. Is there any other grants or?
Benefits have.
Because I mean, I'm almost putting my line through that. bullet point.
This would be, I mean, it's, the employees would probably tell you, a lot of employees, that they would like to be members. I would tell you, from a pragmatic standpoint, if you've privatized the major programs and you're set with that direction, we've been without them for, the better part of a decade now. I don't see it.
We can send people to their trainings,
Just
we
pay
would
more.
just pay a non-member rate, right?
Right. Right. It's like instead of $150 a day, it's like.
300.
Yeah,
But you're not gonna eat up $2,700 that way.
probably not.
You know, my thing is, we haven't been members for, I think it's more than 10 years now.
No, it's probably coming
I
up
think
on
it
it.
was like 2006.
When were you on the LPC? It was back then, right? Around that time
was
after you got off there?
2006 and 7. Yeah.
Could be 10 years, yeah.
So 10 years.
Next year.
Yeah, next year will be 10 years. And have we missed them? I don't think so.
I don't really recall.
I mean,
missing.
So
Only
let's-
time was.
Let's take that budget number, let's take that bullet point off.
What's the verbiage on that bullet point?
Discussion of benefits of rejoining Maine Municipal. I don't think staff, we did it last year, I don't think we need to have staff do it again.
I think that-
So the one above that, investigate, improve healthcare program options for employees with emphasis on stability. I think I mean, we're not changing, right? It's a constant review. We are where we are, we're doing improvements based on,
Every year.
and we're doing improvements based on the HR stuff. We're doing some changes based on those recommendations. So I think we can take that, that's a normal course of business now.
I mean, people are getting very creative out there. I just went through a renewal.
Mhm.
It's a
But-
lot of new stuff to try and figure out how to keep your increases down.
Yeah, but part of the reason that bullet point was there is because we did get caught in that July 1, January 1. We've got that now under
And
control.
we're gonna go through it again. You're not gonna get a renewal until April and May anyway.
That's right.
So,
But we,
so it's all a guess right now.
but we've taken care of the problem we had with employees
With the
getting
deductible,
double
that's
deductible, right? And that was one of the emphases emphasi last year, was to make sure that the stability part of that happened. So if we go back up to the top, we wanna at least keep the capital road improvements going.
I think so. And the second one.
So the question is, we keep it going, so we don't lower it, do we still wanna look for an increase in?
Absolutely.
Okay. Second bullet point, limit use of fund balance surplus. I think we have to take that one out, because we've created kind of a new one on that, which is fund balance, the directive we talked about at the beginning, so that's gonna be a different bullet point,
Okay.
different wording of bullet point for that, because we want staff to look at using any potential fund balance monies for one-time projects based on our policy, which is in writing on what percentage we like to see,
15%.
right? Service-driven budget, core services-driven budget, that one should probably stay.
Yeah.
Continue to explore privatization, that one should stay. Neighboring towns, yeah. So, current services in roadside solid waste and recycling.
Stay.
Absolutely.
So the next bullet point I think is redundant, we should take it out.
Yep.
So continue current trash contract unless it threatens LD1, let's take that out. the capital improvements versus capital reserve budgeting. I think that that has served us well and probably should still be an idea. So we'll keep that one in. I think the understanding all budget areas to be considered stays. The bullet point discussion topics for 15-16 goal setting, you can take that one out. We talked about zero minimal. We talked about stay. We evaluate new and expiring debt service. We talked about that one. Continue to invest in capital improvements and infrastructure. That one would stay. We talked about the next one. That one should stay. The public works. Merit pay came out. Recreational facility, Joe took it out, I put it back in.
It's gonna be out anyway.
Some-
It should be out.
It may be,
Well, it will be.
it may be out, but that's my one chair consideration, I get to call.
There you go.
I'm putting my foot
I'd
down
like to
on
see
that
it
one.
in too. I'd vote with you on that one.
Alright, thanks, Lonnie.
I know we're SOL, but I had high hopes.
It's okay, 3-2's not bad. Investigate, improve healthcare, we talked about that, pull that out, cause that's, MMA came out. This,
Municipal
the
budget.
municipal budget, this one was another redundant one, that should come out. I think we should continue to update the 5 to 10 IT, that should stay in.
Where are we with the money we put aside last year? $40,000 to do all this. Has any of that been spent?
Which money are we talking about?
The IT budget for here?
Oh, it has not been spent.
Because we're 10K short, and they're still trying to figure a way around that. Kevin's got a plan, though. I know he's underway on that, and
Okay.
I don't have any detailed information, but there was a budgetary cut that caused a problem there, and they're trying to be creative and find a way around it. But as far as I know, that's not a resolved issue.
And we've had a couple of glitches that have required workarounds, and there's a couple things we haven't done that we were planning on doing because we don't have the equipment for it at the moment.
We cut that.
I think Kevin has come to a plan. He's actually out of state right now. I can get an update, but he's been working really hard to figure something out, and I think he's achieved that, but we have not implemented it yet.
And we have not had anything happen with regard to at this point, our minutes being the official record, right? Our video minutes are the official record, and that core portion is still good. Study budget to ensure that citizen services and staff needs are being met.
I didn't say much.
Yeah, I think we can take that one out. So, other priorities folks have for Dawn and staff? Anything jump out that you want to do that we're not doing? Suggestions?
Just kind of laughing at some of the ones we say leave in, down there saying take out, down there saying take out, we're saying leave in.
I think we can pull out that recreational.
In the middle, they're saying something else.
It'll take itself out.
So, I tried to go down through them. Now you guys will have to probably try to put something together. Dawn,
Thoughts?
do you have anything you want to add? Do you have a suggestion for us that we missed?
Well, what
Do
happened?
you want to build something that we don't know about?
No. I think what happened was, because we had a set number of goals, and it was a shorter list, which I appreciate your sentiment on that. A shorter list, a more concise shorter list is helpful to us. But then, we sort of, we had a lot of opportunities with the IRT. We started, arguably, I guess you could say, and I don't want to argue it, but we started to feel more optimistic after years of pessimism, and so we did add some goals in. But, I think that there's an adequate number of goals. I don't anticipate anything, radical or strikingly different about this coming year, but to simplify and consolidate and to clarify would all be helpful things for us. And I think we did that tonight somewhat. And so we'll give it some more thought, but I want to meet with Nancy, but I think that's helpful to make it more simple.
obviously between now and the, I don't remember what date it was, you were gonna try to get us a budget. You know, Kurt's gonna work on his best guess. You're gonna work on a best guess for revenues for this year and anticipate next year, and I think the picture is gonna be better for us. If you talk to Chris and you look at the permits that have been pulled and the amount of building that's gone on and anticipated building going on, you know, we are continuing to see increases in that area. Don?
I'm speaking just for myself, but at the town office, you know, having paid some new excise today on a new car, but I would say there's a
Thank you for that, by the way.
an abundance of optimism. An abundance of optimism. I see. I like the term abundance of whatever, but anyway, there does seem to be you know, a lot of activity, a lot of you know, new vehicle registrations and so forth. So I think you know, far be it for me to say I don't know, but it seems like you know, the kind of, you know, gloom and doom pessimistic feeling that we've had for so long, you know, does seem to be lessening some, and we are seeing a lot of economic activity in the town office in the form of excise tax. We're seeing it in new construction. We're seeing a boom actually in various areas in new construction, and not just on the lakefront property. So I'm really optimistic, to tell you the truth. Things are going well.
Anything else folks want to add before I close this discussion?
Can I ask a question on it?
Absolutely.
Just for budgeting purposes, if we could get direction department heads for the merit pay and how's it gonna work and percentages and all of that would be helpful for planning our budgets.
Yeah.
Then you need to talk to Don.
What's going to happen? The consultant is going to have a final report, hopefully by the close of the calendar year. I've been, you know, talking to him, and he's going to. That's all on the consultant. The consultant's going to work with us and walk us through all of that and to orient us. But you know, I've talked to the chief about that, so he's.
But he
needs some more
wasn't real
detail. We'll get
sure
together.
as yet.
Pardon me?
He wasn't real sure, and he said, well, start working on the budget, and I'm kind of like...
Well, I don't have the answer because it's coming from external, but I'm told that it's going to, that's part of the package, is to present it and to orient us to it and to school us, train us, and to make sure we can operate it.
Good.
And figure out how to implement over time.
Correct. All that's part of it.
Right. All right. Thank you.
You kids better start behaving.
So Sue, if you would, after you work with Dawn on trying to re-bullet those, if you would just send that out to all of us, just so we can take a look at it.
As long, I mean, if we can, and I would look to, you know, Sue and Nancy, myself to a lesser degree, but if we can encompass the same ideas in hopefully a more, I hesitate to use the term artful, but a more, whatever, you know, cogent way, is that okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
They're your goals.
Well, there are goals to meet, but in the original goals, I should remind you, I originally did write the original goals and helped with the board many, many years ago with setting the original goals, and then we've kind of, then you, I think this group came on and really went to town with goals.
Yeah. Hopefully it's helpful.
Oh, it has been helpful.
Next item is fee schedule update. Sue, you have an update for us?
Yes, there are no updates to the town fees themselves, but to have, for the town office to have one document where all the fees live, we have put, and this was predates me, but we have put the Tasseltop fees at the back of our fee schedule. And anytime the fee schedule changes, it requires a selectman approval. The Tasseltop Board of Directors have met and set their fees for next year. So I've updated the schedule with that.
And just to touch base on the Tasseltop, is we upped it. We said, I think it's like another $50.
$50 a day, I think, or something.
I think they're
For
already.
cabin rentals.
Yeah, we already
Additional
booked.
$50?
No.
A week.
Yeah, they're already booked up, I think through 2016
Yes, they
already
are.
for their rentals, so we said anybody new would have to pay the newer fee, but, and I think they went from $4 to $5 for an entrance fee.
For adults,
Yeah.
yes.
And, so,
So those are the two changes that are proposed by the Tasseltop board. So can I have a motion to?
I'll make a motion to set the new fee schedule as presented.
Second.
Any comments? Other
Yeah,
questions?
I have just a comment. When we get to a point where we want to increase or look at them, I think our animal control fees are too inexpensive. I don't think that I think they should be more than what they are. The penalties when it comes to dogs at large and this, that, and the other, I think that, and again, it's more of just a comment, just looking forward to that year from now when we approve again or something to that effect. Dealing with our ball fields a lot and mowing and this and that, people go crazy down there, and there's dog feces, there's a lot of action where there shouldn't be. And looking at them, and there's one other department that I want to make a comment about as well, but it just seems that the animal control fees are less than they should be. So let's take a look at that in the future. And
That will be first meeting in June usually.
yeah. And talking
Or
with
July.
an
July.
electrician in town, he
July.
had said
It
that
begins July 1st, so, I'm sorry.
Talking to an electrician in town, he had said that our electrical fees are crazy. By the time I was done talking to him, there wasn't any good facts supporting it, as well as myself looking at those fees. They seem to look fair. So just a little bit of input.
What do you mean crazy? Like crazy low, crazy high, crazy?
High. It seemed to, I guess, I'm not 100% sure how the fees work when it comes to that, but they may have to get some type of state fees on some HVAC work, but then they have to get the town fees as well, and they don't kind of coincide. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to Hanson about it, but I wanted to get a little more educated on that. But again, just more of comments, not real big concerns.
I agree with Lonnie on the animal control. When you look at our monthly statement we get, we're always running a deficit in animal control. We never appropriate enough money because nobody ever pays the fines. And so,
I do. They come knocking at your door when you don't register your dog.
Good.
But I registered
Good.
mine today, so I'm good, and I haven't done it for a
Yeah,
couple
but that
of
was
years.
3 years late.
yeah.
No, shut up. There you
Did
go.
you pay the back fees on it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Don Alexander
Alright.
used to knock on my door and say, "You're gonna
We'll
have
be
to go to
putting a
court."
lien on your dog.
Yeah.
No. I want to sit in at that end.
That's all I have to say is give you a hard time.
I know,
I'm
yeah.
gonna continue. But no, other than that, they look like they are in line pretty well, so.
I agree with you with the field. So with the dogs, they just let them inside the baseball fields and play
Crazy.
ball. Yeah.
I mean, we find pints of whiskey, empty whiskey bottles, find just
everything.
stuff that blows your mind. People all for some type of action to have more coverage on that set of fields, or went by there and see some shady people just sitting in there more than once. And
We don't have any
again,
shady people in Raymond.
no, they come
Except
from
for
out
the
of town, but they
SelectBoard.
chose to meet.
And you sure,
What do you mean, shady by like purples and yellows, or those kinds of shades?
Sure there's dog feces.
But yeah, it's pretty
So we
crazy.
need
So
to-
if we were a little
we need
stiffer,
a-
it might help.
We need a new fee for shady people? Is that what you're suggesting?
I was saying that we just need to maybe look towards maybe monitoring the ball field a little better on Mill Street somehow, some creative way or something, because knock on wood, nothing's came to the town in a bad form down from that property, but
Is there a leash law though?
yes, there is.
Yeah. So
Not
meanwhile, so you see any
not
dog
even allowed in there.
No,
Not even
exactly.
allowed in
But
there,
they do.
and there's like there was 15 of them living in there.
Correct, because there's a fence.
Right, and then so they throw the frisbee and this and that, and I understand that. And I honestly would have no issue if I was sitting there and saw a dog in there, and the dog, and the owner picked up the dog droppings
But
when
they
he was
don't.
done. Then
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with it at all.
But they don't.
Use the town land, go for it, just respect it.
Yeah.
So
Should we add bags?
not a bad idea. It's a good idea.
Scoops.
No.
But then that
You know what?
encourages it.
Just the
Exactly,
plastic.
that's what I was gonna say.
True. But if you put it on the outside of the fence, then you're not just proving it wrong, and it allows them, if they want to break the law by putting them inside the fence.
This is one of the things that's very
Curving
hard
it.
for our town because we don't have a constable.
Exactly.
We
Who's
don't
gonna
have a
enforce
police
it?
officer.
Yep.
Sue?
One difficulty too with the animal control fees is you can really make them as high as you want, and I agree they're probably low, but they have no teeth.
Right.
The only thing we've got if people don't pay them is to take them to court, and that costs money.
Right.
So that's one of the difficulties. The officers aren't going to particularly care that a dog had difficulties in the middle of the field and the owner didn't pick it up because they're busy rescuing someone or chasing bad guys.
Sure.
So that's the reality of it, unfortunately.
If they had some type of outstanding fees, then they couldn't register the dog, and if they didn't register the dog, then
We can't, I don't think we,
come and take it and skin it in their yard.
we probably can't put a lien on,
No, they
we probably can't put a lien on their house for not paying their dog fees.
But they do, they threaten you to take you to court. That's what they used to do
Sure.
in the olden days.
Anyway, that's fine.
Alright.
But
Scared dog.
All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Unanimous, 5-0. Anybody from the public like to comment this evening? Seeing none. Anybody from the select board like to comment this evening?
You go first.
I just want to wish everybody a happy, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, see you next month.
You too.
And, I thought it was great that the RSU board was here tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was,
I think that's a big step forward for us.
thanks to you guys that,
That annoyed them so much. You like
no,
Teresa?
you and Teresa,
Hey, something good came out of it.
I think that-
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
terrific.
I just wanted to say the condolences to Tazy Hartley's family on the passing of Tazy Hartley.
Yes.
Sorry to hear
Great.
that.
Right. I think we ought to send,
my only other comment,
Don,
we
what?
something, yeah.
John will comment too.
looking through the town report, 2015. That's what it was. Is that what it was labeled?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's very well done. I was impressed by a lot of it. A lot of pictures were very comical as well, but as well as informative, and I think it was well done.
So you did that, right? Great job.
Very well done. It
Great
was
job.
set up differently than it has been in the past, it seems, and it's just very well done. Very good job.
If I can, just to give a plug, this year we put the town report online in color. So you can actually
Wow.
see Joe's shirt in color.
What about the pants?
No,
Your
the
shirt?
pants didn't show, I cropped them out.
You mean the picture in the town report? What shirt
Correct.
was I wearing?
Just a white polo,
Oh.
With the
preppy,
Wow, I
preppy
think
with
it
the
was
collar
a
up.
little bit green.
Green?
Oh,
Bright
was it green?
Is that what it
Oh,
was?
you mint green?
Nice.
Not yellow,
Let's
purple,
just say in the
purple.
fog, we'd see you.
You don't look like the Joker.
Good.
You look like the Green Hornet.
But some of the pictures, whoops, I should put this in there.
Sorry, John.
The pictures, there's credits at the bottom of each picture for who took them. And some of the pictures, if you see them in color, are
they're
beyond
nice.
phenomenal. They
Yeah.
are just gorgeous.
Did you take the one on the select board?
I did.
That's
That
phenomenal.
Did
was
you give
nice.
yourself credit?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. Just wondering.
I
We like to
did
give
want
credit to
not
Sue
believe
Ledger.
for that.
I'd like to give credit to Joe Brito for standing out in the picture.
Anybody else have a selectman comment?
I'd like to say a few things about programs that are being presented at the library.
Marvelous.
May I do
yeah.
that? And I'll make this rather quick, but there's some very interesting programs. One tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. called Winter Health and Bees and Herbs. Once again, Deb Gideon will share with us her knowledge and experience of healthy home remedies just in time for winter. There's things I've never heard of like fire cider, elderberry elixir, infused honeys, and more. We ask you to join us and learn about the herbs and honeybee products and keep you healthy during the cold and flu seasons. We have a basket sale, which is going to be ongoing It's a fundraiser. Our popular gift baskets are now on sale at the library. These baskets are unique and perfect for teachers as a hostess gift for that special friend. Or when you plan your Christmas shopping, be sure to come by the Raymond Village Library. There's a large variety from which to choose, and they will be available during regular library hours through December or until they're all gone. On December 13th, Sunday, we're having the annual bake sale. That's another fundraiser from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The library will have tables filled with decorative cookies, pastries, pies, breads, candles, or candies, not candles, and all kinds of scrumptious sweets presented in festive wrappings. And we have another program. We're pleased to have Attorney Pungratz at the Village Library on the third Thursday of each month to meet with people on a drop-in basis to answer legal questions and provide pro bono advice. And that's about it. The reason I say we in all this, I'm now a board member there, so I hope this interests you all, and it's going to be on the, if you have any questions, of course, call the library, but it's also going to be on the library website, so thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Anybody else? Don?
Okay, as Teresa mentioned, I'd like to start by remembering former Raymond citizen and community volunteer Tacey Hartley. She passed away over the weekend, and you will recall she was an active member for many years of our cemetery committee, a former member of the Budget Finance Committee, and an election worker for the town, among, I'm sure, many other volunteer things she did for the community. And so I wanted to send our condolences to the family, and she will be missed.
Thank you, Don.
I'd also like to, we have a new addition to our staff. Cindy Davenport is our new part-time counter clerk. She's working about 17 and a half hours. Is that right? 17 and a half hours. And so she has, I think, got off to a fast start, and she came back the second day despite the front office staff, so that was a good sign.
She puts up with my stuff when I go in there.
Oh, she's meant
I wasn't going to mention that, but yeah.
I told her I applied for the job, and it was not very nice that she took the job from me, and she just kind of like looked at me like, okay.
So I'd like to confirm some dates for your upcoming meetings. So January 12th, 2016, February 9th, and March 8th.
March 8th is the new one, as we're trying each month to stay 3 months ahead. So January and February we have confirmed before, so the new addition to the list is March 8th.
Okay, so our upcoming holiday schedule, Thursday, December 24th, we're going to close at noon in observance of Christmas. On Friday, December 25th, we'll be closed in observance of Christmas. Thursday, December 31st, we'll close at noon in observance of New Year's Day. On Friday, January 1st, we will be closed, 2016 will be closed in observance of New Year's Day.
Mike, sir?
Yes.
What is the dealio with our trash?
During those days?
During, like, on Spiller Hill Road, our trash is Thursday. We didn't have it.
Yeah, if your
So they
trash
come the
falls
next
on a
week.
holiday, it'll be picked up the next week.
So
And we
we'll be
noticed that on the
skipped.
website.
Yeah.
And so that's how
I
that
actually
goes.
looked for it on the website real quick earlier, and I couldn't find any.
Yeah. Somebody called me asking me too, and I asked her, I said it's
Well,
usually on the website.
Okay,
yeah.
so
I
if
mean,
your
it
trash,
probably is, but maybe we can make it a little more
yes.
noticeable.
I knew about it,
How? From the website?
because I sit here on the board.
So do I, but
I
I
know.
guess I get mesmerized by the colors and the board. I don't know.
But anyway,
I
we-
apologize for wasting your time.
No,
because
somebody
didn't-
called me and asked me if it was
I
going to be
didn't
picked up
know
the
that
next
we
day.
discussed
I said I
this.
didn't know.
So
Usually
it's a
over.
frequent, it's something we get this frequently, and people don't hesitate to call the town office or call at home. So you're not the only one who has the question. So the question really is, how do we get the word out in a better way? So I think to have a prominent box on the website would be a good thing to do. To repeat it, you know, probably annually around the holidays is a good thing to do. And
Is the
that's what
whole,
we do.
how many days does it take for the trash company to pick up our entire town?
The whole week.
Does it so they're?
Yeah.
We've allowed them the whole week because of cost savings. I'm not sure that they take the whole week, but we've allowed that. So if they need it, they have the whole week.
Yep.
They offered that to us, as Joe, you know, remembers correctly, a few years ago. They said, if you want to save money, you know, you can do it by giving us some more flexibility.
So Thursday being trash day, that means it'll be skipped the week of Christmas.
And
Is
take
there an
double the next
alternative to the
Well, it was
needs
skipped
or the,
Thanksgiving, too.
right, that was,
The Christmas Day is on Friday.
That's right.
uh,
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So does anybody?
All you have to do is look at the calendar.
I will stab you with my calendar. I apologize, I thought it was Thursday, so,
Christmas is that Thursday?
Christmas is,
That's Friday.
I thought it was Thursday,
No.
just like Thanksgiving, but it's Friday, so it's irrelevant, my apologies.
Well, it's irrelevant to you, but it may be relevant to the people who's trash
See,
it.
exactly, you're speaking on behalf of the people, I'm like, Joe, you're the
Do they
city
do the
that
trash
knows it.
pickup on a Friday now?
I believe so.
Yeah, they do,
Or-
I think.
Where?
I don't.
Is it just 4 days?
It's
I think we
usually
gave
just Monday through
the,
Thursday.
we gave them the option, but
And
I
they
don't
have
think they do that.
Friday as a swing date if they want it.
Right, that's right.
So it may be irrelevant.
So when there's a holiday, it should get swapped around.
I
It
thought
should,
we did.
but it doesn't.
I know it does not.
Yeah, I thought it did too.
You're apologizing a lot tonight.
Yeah, well, when I screw up, I apologize.
As
When
Tom
Stab's
Sawyer
really
used to
back, I
say,
apologize.
Tom Sawyer used to say many years ago, satisfaction guaranteed on waste removal or double your trash back. So,
Sweet words.
we do try our best, and that's one of our premier services, I should say. We get questions about it, but we get a lot of compliments on it as well.
What's happening in town hall with your trash? Any problems?
No problems.
It's been nice.
None, zero.
Okay, good.
Well, one.
One.
The gentleman that thought he should leave his trash in the
Center
Oh,
of,
that wasn't, that,
He
but
threw it all
that's,
in his
but
parking
that
lot.
was,
Yeah.
that was remote trash that came, that was a different issue. That wasn't, yes, we had
It was remote trash.
a problem, but it wasn't exactly related to the town
Was it
dumpsters.
remote trash or just random trash?
It was remote.
He was a non-citizen, you mean?
Yeah.
No, this was a citizen who decided, unhappy about the trash collection system, so he decided to come up and give me an option. And so I didn't have very good options, so I advised against all the options I was given, but he took one of the things that he threatened to do, which was to dump it in the middle of the parking lot. He decided to do that.
Didn't he think that Nathan had initially dumped it in his yard or something?
Yes. And
Not
that was
Nathan,
one of the
somebody
options.
else.
It was my yard, Nathan's yard, or the town office. And
That's the way Nathan is.
so we had to decide, and I didn't decide. I said none of the above would be acceptable, and he decided.
Do we have him arrested, I hope? Good.
Good.
Summoned.
Lonnie?
There you go, Lonnie.
I'd like to make a motion to accept treasurer's warrant dated 12/8/2015 for the amount of $70,609.62.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous?
Is that it? I think so.
Because I do payroll.
That was the only one?
Oh, yeah, good.
Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you all.
Battery power.